Live more.
And welcome back. The show is still morning, right? And right now, well, it's the last day of the year, and we cannot but talk about this year in retrospect.
That's right. That's right. So we have our guest, already seated here with us. Well, because it's the end of the year, all our guests today they are friends of the house. So having fun, like we said, celebrating into the new year. Of course, the Nigeria economy has somewhat been on a slow growth this year for reasons, among others, that some of the major indices of Nigeria GDP, the oil sector, has had a decline in output, and the agricultural sector has also been adversely affected by flooding during the year. So as the year winds down, what is the current economic outlook of the nation and the impact of some of these major sectors? Our guest, an economist and public affairs analyst, will be sharing his thoughts on them. Let's see his profile frame. We'll be right back. All right, there you have it, the profile frame of our guest, an economist, a banker, a public affairs analyst, a lecturer, and a prolific gospel music minister. Okay, well, today he's here on the other side. Maybe before we, wind down the show for today, we got to feel part of the gospel vibes of him. So let's welcome Austin Adigwe. Thanks for joining us again on Money Ride.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for having me.
Yeah, compliments of the season.
Same here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Always a delight.
Yeah, yes. So, you're a friend of yours. We are just chatting. This is not, so it's always good to have your friends around at this time of the year, okay? All right, let's start, taking a look at how we're fared economically. In your view, how would you assess the current state of Nigeria economy as the year winds down?
Well, despite the very honest efforts of the authorities and the government, it comes down to the basic things of life. To assess any economy.
Yeah.
You're looking at the standard of living.
That's right.
You're looking at the cost of living.
That's right.
Because that's the bottom line. For every economic policy that has been well implemented or implemented wrongly, it distills into the standard of living of Nigerians. I would say 2022 has been a challenging year. It's been a challenging year. Coming from also the global slowdown in economic activities, as we were recovering from the COVID lockdown and disruption of production and distribution lines, we also step into another avoidable conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And of course, that also created its own immense economic challenges. In terms of food shortages, Ukraine is the world lead in wheat supply, which of course forms part of our staple food. So that became a problem. Energy crisis coming from Russia, flexing muscle. So globally, every economy is challenged.
Okay.
But now, domesticating it to Nigeria, we became more challenged because we weren't even prepared in the first place. There is something you hear Americans talk about, their oil reserves. despite the fact that they are buying, but they are creating reserves.
Creating reserves.
So in the event that the seller chooses not to sell tomorrow, you won't see that distortion immediately.
That's
They fall
sure.
back on their reserve.
Reserves.
But we don't have that in this part of the world. And a lot happened that shouldn't have happened. Okay, in 2022 saw Nigerian debt profile surging. At end of the third quarter now, we are looking at 44 trillion, both federal and state. I think we also need to begin to emphasize that the debt stock is not just that of federal government. It's federal government and state
state
government.
government.
So that people begin to also engage the state government.
That's right.
All these borrowings, there is nothing wrong with borrowing, but when you borrow for capital projects, borrow for things that can pay back that loan, it's okay.
okay.
So the 44 trillion is not only federal government, all the states of the federation combined together, both external and internal, as at Q3, stands at 44.2 trillion.
So that's huge.
In Q3, we used the 1.37 trillion to service our debt. You could see Finch downgrading Nigeria from B to B minus. And the whole driver of that downgrade is our high debt service ratio. So, and you talk of inflation. Inflation, of course, came with my opening statement, all the global challenges. But again, the inflation in our own climb was met with the wrong policies, wrong policy trust. Because Nigeria was not necessarily facing demand pull inflation. We were facing cost push inflation. There was no liquidity when CBN was shouting about liquidity. There was no liquidity. It was not liquidity that was making the woman who spent so much to convey his or her products from the rural area to the urban center. It's not liquidity that will make her sell at high cost. But what had happened, energy costs because of increase in diesel.
Logistics.
Yes, according to MBS now, if you go to the site, diesel is selling at 808 naira. That's the official whatever. So when you spend so much conveying your goods, of course, you will now have a higher markup.
Of course, because you are going to place
Because
scale
you're in
on the
business to
cost.
make profit.
Exactly. So when for example, in May, our inflationary rate was 17.76%. And I felt that since it's a cost push inflation, what the government needed to do was to fight that escalating cost of production. I'll give you an example. You are giving subsidy, or there's subsidy in fuel, but there's no subsidy in diesel that will be used to convey these petroleum products. At best, you could have, encouraged the transporters by paying them attractive bridging costs so that they convey this petroleum product to the nooks and crannies of this country at no other additional cost.
To them.
But even if you sell, because I had the opening statement at NNPC 148, then you get a truck that will truck this product to Kaduna with a total cost of about 2 million in diesel. You still cannot get that
148.
commodity at 169 in Kaduna.
Obviously.
So there were a lot of policies that went wrong. CBN was supposed to, at best, pursue expansionary monetary policy, because federal government has sustained deficit financing for too long. And that's expansionary.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if there is
Defending the naira,
so if there is no congress between fiscal policy and monetary policy, we end up where we are. And the case of defending naira, the argument is a bit weak. You devalue your currency if you are a net exporter. Why do you even have to reduce the relative exchange of your currency to other currencies? It's only because you are exporting so much and you want your commodity to become cheaper in the international market, so you devalue in order to sell more. Okay, so
like Japan.
Exactly.
Does.
So in the long run, you build up your foreign reserve. In the long run, okay, your economy is better for it. But in our own case, we're devaluing when we are even net importers. The only thing we export that brings in foreign exchange is crude oil, which we're also stealing. so what use is the devaluation of naira?
Austin, we will continue on that trajectory, because when we talk about economy, it's just so
wide.
many
Yes.
things, encompassing. So
But
we'll continue.
Before we leave the economy, he has talked so much about the things we did wrong.
Yes.
What could we have done better?
Okay, so let's now be looking at 2023 because 2022 is gone.
Yeah.
We must also appreciate the fact that in macroeconomics, there are always time lags. So things are not going to improve overnight. Nigerians should understand that. But we need to start getting our policies right. Okay, then it will take time to work itself out, and things then begins to improve. Number one thing I feel we should do in 2023 is to have a definite resolve that our refineries must work. It is sacrosanct. It's not negotiable. Otherwise, we'll just keep going through this vicious circle.
In circles.
Let's get that sorted. Let our refineries work.
That's no brainer anyway.
Yeah, our refineries needs to work. It's either you privatize them. If you want to sell them, please sell them out. But the refineries need to work, because if our refineries are working, this monster that we've always been hearing, subsidy. will have no relevance again.
Yes.
We are paying for inefficiencies. When they tell you landing costs, what makes up landing costs? Go to our ports. Our ports are congested. Somebody may choose not to do what he's supposed to do today in customs, and whoever has imported our goods will incur like 2 million, 3 million extra because those goods were not cleared that day. All these things distills into the cost of this product at the end of the day. So our refineries need to work. In whichever way, government should also be able to bring in private investors to invest and run refineries in this country. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. That's why I say there is lag. But we shouldn't be having this same discussion in 2024. We should be looking at inflation and every other thing abating by 2024. But our refineries need to work.
Okay. I mean, while introducing you, I did say you are also a gospel musician. This way we're going, it will be more technical. Maybe we should relax at this point and enjoy your music. Then we'll return to the discussion. Wow. Let's go on this break. We'll be back.
I'm engaged to go to Lord Jesus. Oh, I'm engaged to you go to Lord Jesus. I'm engaged to you, Christ, to Lord Jesus. Akanimu Chineke dị mma, onye nwe nara ekele. Chineke onye nwe otito njiri bịa ihu Chineke onye nwe nara ekele. Chineke zebere Chimo bịa mezu elu metu isiku ọkwa gị mere ka nwanyị a gatụrụ ime n'ezie Hana na Sarah na Elizabeth Jesus bịa gbanwere ụmụ ndụ m zaa m ekpere m bịa gbanwere m ọnọdụ m ekwekwana ka ndị iro megide m a na-ajụ sị olee ebe chi m nọ mana mara m na chi m adịghị anya zaa m ekpere bịa gbanwere m ọnọdụ m amen to God to Lord Jesus oh amen to Christ to Lord Jesus n'ihu Chineke dị mma onye nwe nara otuto n'ihu Chineke dị mma onye nwe nara ekele.
All right, it's still a morning ride. Yes, that was a nice one. Just to relax from the do I say the technical session that we are here? Because there's no time you're discussing about the economy that it won't sound technical, and I can tell you it's usually very engaging. Just like the title of that some time ago we engaged. One of the foremost economists in Nigeria, Tilewa Adebaju. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah.
He was here, and at the end of it all, by the time he did all the analysis, and I said, look, you have just succeeded in confusing us more than, because the truth is that they tell you all the indices are on the positive side. But when you come to ordinary Nigerian, the pocket is saying negative. I mean, these things aren't adding up, So what do you think are the major challenges of Nigerian economy?
Okay, fundamental to our problem is the fact that we are a consuming nation. Our marginal propensity to consume and import, is very high. And for a nation that is not very productive, you find a lot of distortions, a lot of imbalances here and there. That also need to be addressed. You see, people getting money through what we call transfer payments, which doesn't reflect any current productive efforts, can also help to fuel inflation.
Okay.
So there is need for us to look at those areas where we have comparative advantage and begin to produce those things locally. One, you'll be creating more jobs, which will pull people away from poverty. You saw the last report, Nigerian multidimensional poverty index. That 133 million of 200 million are living below poverty line.
63% of the population.
65% of these 133 million, that's about 86 million, live in the north from their reports, while 35% live in the south. So if you ask me, this Christmas that we've just celebrated, I will tell you that 133 million Nigerians didn't even see probably a square meal this season. I don't need any soothsayer to tell me that. Because for those living below poverty, you know what prices of just food
The
items,
staple food in
exactly, are doing in the market. So the problem, the greatest challenge of the Nigerian economy is that we've driven it for too long in this trajectory of being import dependent. Just like a married woman who chooses to be buying food every day. I don't think that relationship will see the light of the day. It will crash. Because the day the seller chooses not to come out, you go hungry. But no matter the size of your pot, you are able to cook whatever you and your family will eat, whether it is sweet or not, but at least you cooked it. So that is the analogy between, trying to always consume, and trying to produce. And I must say this, and I say this with every sense of modesty. The economy drives every aspect of our lives.
Obviously.
Our physical and mental health, depends on robust economy. We must understand that. We mix up a lot of things. I see us mixing up a lot of things in this country. We are very religious. But please, wealth is created by providing service or product. We need to understand that.
That's right.
And people need to go out
The days
and provide these things.
The days of manna falling from heaven and
Exactly. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It has no place in economics.
That's right.
Okay, let me bring it back home. There's a question, always at the back of my mind. When we come on the show, on shows like this, we bring in economists, we bring in professionals, and when they give us the analysis, it seems so good, so enticing, so promising, and most of the times I begin to wonder, at the helm of affairs, what's happening? Is it that we don't have good hands to handle all of this? Because we seem to have a lot of professionals that knows, their onions. They knows, what to do. They know how to drive the economy. What's happening over there at the helm of affairs? Is it that are we having the wrong people on the wrong seats? Are we having the wrong people in the wrong position? Are we having the people that are not supposed to be? What's happening? What really is happening?
Okay, I think for me, I would rather say it's a problem of followership. The problem of leadership, I think we've established that enough. Everybody understands that we have a problem of leadership. But what we are not focusing on, which to me is the big elephant in the room, is poor followership.
That's right.
How do we take our civic responsibilities? If somebody is not doing what he should be doing, we should call out the person. I think everybody is just fixated on presidency, the president. I'm not politically biased, but I tell you that bulk of the problems that we faced in this country was created by the wrong policies of central bank. You see, yes, there's someone that should call the shot and say, you are fired, even as at that time. But Nigerians weren't focusing on central bank. Everybody is just focusing on the president. President has also appointed people to take charge of all these things. I'll give you a very good example. When the 41 item that CBN announced came on stream, I told people that care to listen that this pronouncement has done what strengthened the parallel market. You see, if you are a father and you do not have enough resources to go around the demands of your children, that's the case of our FS need for importation. Okay, we know we don't have enough FS that can go around and bring in things that we are not producing. Now, if you come out and say, these items that are not actually produced locally should not come to CBN to bid for forest. Now, there is no outright ban on those commodities. You should get that. There's no outright ban. So you're telling them, don't come through CBN window, which is the official rate, to bid, but you can go anywhere. You have stamped that authority on parallel market. Now, these people also understands the nature of the commodities, that these commodities are also very important. So they can now pay premium to get the FS, import the goods, and you and I will pay the price. Can you see where the problem started?
Well, it's just
Like I
just
said when the show started, it's a rippling effect.
Yes, a multifaceted. You know, well, time is not always on our side, but you know, you have really established CBN in the scheme of things, and no doubt. I mean, one of the core drivers of the economy is CBN in the area of monetary policy. You know, how federal government handles fiscal policy is CBN.
Exactly.
So now, not talking about CBN, one of the major events around the country this year is the redesign of the naira. Now, you are a banker. As a banker, what are your thoughts on the concerns of the citizens for and against that particular idea?
No, I think it's
As we wind down, maybe you can just wrap your thoughts in maybe about 30 seconds.
Okay, so it's a policy we should embrace.
Oh, good.
Okay, CBN got it right this time around. So I was even not too happy that they increased the whatever, because we should move away from cash. Yes, they are not saying you shouldn't spend your money. They are saying what the portion you should spend through cash is this. We have to move away from cash economy. Let me give you one instance.
But are we
The rich economies.
Before you give us that instance, do you think we are ripe for it, considering the internet, and every
No,
other
you
thing,
cannot continue.
considering the woman there, you know, in my village, considering my mother that the internet isn't even
Yes,
working
ma'am.
at our domain. Do you think we are ripe for it?
Necessity is the mother of invention. This policy will create its own investments in those areas.
Okay.
So as I was saying, the so-called rich economies are credit economy. Have we not thought of that?
That's right.
Whereas the poor economies are the cash economy. We need to move away
From it.
from it.
Thank you so much. We have to go, KZ.
Yes, a lesson here has been dropped, from cash economy to cashless.
Credits.
Credit. That's
Yes.
exactly what the CBN is pushing. I think we all should buy into that. I'm in for that as well. All right. So yes, we've been having an engaging time on the economy with Austin Adigwe, an economist, banker, public affairs analyst, a lecturer. He does quite so much, and of course, he's also in the spiritual as well as secular. So you can see the way. Thank you so much for your time. So
My pleasure.
Well, I'm sure you
you
still
for
be around, so that we wind down the whole thing together.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah, it's the end of the year, so we
Yes.
cannot but just have a nice time at the end of the show.
All right.
All right.
So, let's
We take a break right now.
let's do it.
When we return, we'll have our next guest with us.